Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to World of Tanks tutorial, next part. Today we're gonna talk about crews. We're gonna talk how important their role is in improving combat effectiveness of your vehicle. We're gonna talk about the skills, the experience, the training, and how all of this experience or influences the gameplay. Yeah, I chosen this British Vickers Medium Mark 1 vehicle to talk about the crew. As you can see, each vehicle has several crew members, which are represented here on the left side. Depending on the type of the vehicle, the number of crew can be different from 2 to even 6. And what's important to know is that although the number of crew members can be different, there are specific roles that will always be performed by one or many crew members, and that these are those 5 that you can see here: the commander, the gunner, the driver, the radio operator, and the loader. These are these 5 functions that will always be present in a tank, regardless how many people are sitting in it. Each role influences a specific feature or specific quality of a tank. The commander, how good the commander is, or the commander is able to spot enemy vehicles. So this view range, that's the commander. The better trained commander, the bigger, the larger the view range, and the earlier we're gonna spot enemy vehicles. The gunner is responsible for loading and aiming. The driver is considered the person that's, well, the person that drives the vehicle, that rotates, that accelerates, and so on. The radio operator responsible for the so-called with communication with other vehicles, with friendly vehicles, and is also responsible for relaying the position of enemy vehicles to other friendly vehicles. So if you spot something, you are able to communicate position of the enemy vehicle to other friendlies. The loader. Yes, I've made a mistake. The loader is responsible for loading, how fast the loading is performed. It's not the gunner. Gunner is just responsible for aiming. Yeah, and that's it. These are the five roles that are present. As you can see, these numbers here correspond to the level of the major qualification, so-called, in the game. The major qualification is being the commander, gunner, and so on. And this level will vary from 50% to, well, it can go over 100%. How is that possible? We're going to talk about it in a second. So the overall performance of a crew consists of the level, the maximum, the level of the major qualification, plus any skill and skills or perks this crew has. So when we started with the tier 1 vehicle, the crew was already at 100%, but that will not always be the case. Actually, in most cases, when you buy a new vehicle and you're gonna move the crew, you're gonna want to have it as high as possible, but unless you use gold, also a small trick that I will show you later on. Yeah, so it is always good to have this number as high as possible, and when you're gonna use the tank, when you're gonna play battles, win or lose, you're gonna gain experience. and partially this experience we're gonna go into the research, and partially it's gonna go into the crew. So the crew, as the crew will be trained and will go up in the major qualification until it reaches its maximum. When it reaches its maximum, you will be able to choose, and in this case it's 100%. You can see it here. Training level. Then you are able to choose skills and perks. And these items, these unique features will make the crew even better, and it will increase the performance of your vehicle. Which perks, which skills to use, we're gonna talk about it in a second. First, let's have a look at another thing. It's the barracks. Barracks is the place where you have where you store your crew members, unless they are not in a tank. So you have a limited amount of bunks, and when you start it's gonna be 16. You can enlarge for gold if you want, but usually there are missions, or as a prize from Wargaming for performing some kind of mission or anything, you will get these bunks. There are better ways to spend gold in this game. Barracks can be used for other things, like for example controlling how many crew members you actually have. You can choose barracks and vehicles. You can choose a specific nation, and these you're gonna see that these are the guys that are in the light tank right now, light tractor. You can send them to barracks, then you're gonna see them in the barracks. Yeah. Operations here, you can dismiss the crew, which is not advisable, because it's always to have a crew that is already trained and trusted to another vehicle than getting a completely green crew. That's another very important thing. When you move on to another vehicle, unless you really have to, you should not dismiss the crew members. There are during your gameplay, they're gonna acquire experience, they're gonna acquire skills and perks, and this is one of the things that's gonna take time in World of Tanks. The other thing is grinding through the tanks, getting experience, unlocking equipment, upgrading your tank, and grinding next tank. This takes time, and it's the same thing with a crew. When you start grinding, you will get a specific perk, you'll get specific skill, and then you continue. With each next skill the crew member acquires, you're gonna need more experience to get to the next one. This is very time consuming, and it's not good to just throw all that away and dismissing the crew member. It is always better to have a crew member with lower major qualification, but with some skills and perks than to have it like 100% crew member but absolutely nothing. This is gonna be even more visible in higher tier games, and it is a good habit to start it at the lower tiers. To keep the crew, normally what you do, you choose a specific crew, and you propagate the crew from one vehicle to another vehicle, and usually it is always the same vehicle type. So you're gonna have like one light tank crew, one medium tank crew, for example, for a starter. You're gonna have SPG crew, self-propelled gun, heavy tank crew. Why? Because each type of tank requires different set of skills and perks for it to perform better. So we're gonna talk later on. We're gonna talk about that too. we're gonna talk how to configure your crew depending on whether you run a light tank or whether you run a heavy tank. And of course, as you can see on the tech tree, this is gonna be you're gonna have a lot of crews, because after the first after the first tier 1 tank you have choice of for British you have choice of six different vehicles. There are some light tanks, some SPGs, so artillery, and some TDs. So you're probably gonna have plenty of crews flying around. But it is better to have one specific crew for one specific type of vehicle, and then use it and just move on with that crew. I said that the barracks, if you don't have enough place in the barracks, because you get so many crew members and so on, and well, you can't sell the tank because you can't move a crew member from this tank to a barracks in order to sell it. There is a trick you can do. You can buy either well, the tier 1 tanks, they are free basically, but you can buy any tank. The cheapest ones are the one advisable, and just move the crew from the barracks to the tanks. You don't have to retrain, you don't have to do anything with it, just keep it in the tank, and thus you will free space in the barracks, and you will have more flexibility to move your crews around. Of course, this will take one of your vehicle slots, which are also expensive and limited, but it is a solution, a temporary solution, maybe for those that don't want to spend gold on the barracks. And vehicle slots are always nice to have. So now let's take a look at skills and perks. How does that look like? As I said, when you get to the 100% of the major qualification, you are able to choose, you will get a plus here, indicating that new skills or perks are available. There are two types of these skills. I will generally call them skills, I will not call them skills and perks. There are common ones that are available. Excuse me, that are available for all major qualifications. So all the guys will have access to repairs, camouflage, firefighting, and brothers in arms. Those four are the common ones, and they are the role specific ones. So commander will have mentor, recon, jack of all trades, eagle-eyed, and sixth sense. The way it works is these crews, for example camouflage, this is gonna be the general or the total amount of camouflage the vehicle has will be averaged along the whole crew members. So for example, if you have a crew of 2, like in any other tank, like in this one, and you have one crew member that has camouflage on 100%, and the other one has camouflage on 0. You did not pick this skill at all. Then the average camouflage value for this vehicle is going to be 50%. It's the same with repairs, and it's similar with firefighting. Brothers arms, this is a perk, and this works a little bit different way. Yes, so in order, for example, to speed up the repairs, it is good to have the repair skill on all the crew members. It's the same with camouflage. If you want to have max camouflage value for the vehicle, choose the camouflage skill for all of them. Brothers in arms will give you 5% more on the major qualification, so commander will have 105, but all the crew members have to have it trained, and it has to be 100%. So if one crew member has it on 100%, but the other will have it on 99, then it will not work. Another thing that I forgot to say was that the commander, apart from the spotting range, it also has another function, and it gives a bonus to all the other crew members. If we get the other guy, you see, you have a commander bonus, so its total value is going to be 110. Next thing, as you've noticed, some of the tanks have more crew members, and some of them have fewer. That's what I've been talking about in before. Yeah, but as I said before, the functions, the major qualifications or the functions have to be performed regardless the number of crew members. So we have two guys in this French Renault FT, but we have to have all 5 roles in this tank. So we have a commander that's performing its major qualification is a commander, but he also performs role of a gunner, radio operator, and loader. And this will be shown here, where you see that we can choose from common skills, commander skills, gunner skills, radio operator skills, and loader skills. Now the problem with this is when you move this commander, because his major qualification is commander, to another vehicle, and you have chosen, for example, some gunner skills for him, because this tank has gunner skill, because in this tank he also performs a gunner function, then this this skill will not be active when you move to another tank. You will get a small notification about that, but it's very likely that you're gonna miss it, as I did some time ago. And yeah, and you're just gonna have a crew member that is trained, that has some skills, but they are not active. So it is always important to choose the skills that are matching the major qualification, the major role for this for given crew member. Yeah, but how do you train? How do you retrain or train or acquire new crew members? When you buy a new vehicle, we can actually do that. As you see, I unlocked all the vehicles in tier 2, sorry, for all the nations. Let's see what we can do. Difficult choice. Doesn't really matter. You can take the Russian T-26 light tank. When you buy a new light tank, or a new tank in general, you will get a question, you get a pop-up, what kind of crew you want to get for this tank. You can choose that you want to buy without crew. If you want to buy a slot in a garage for gold, of course, or if you want to load the standard ammunition. These two we usually leave open. In this case, I see that I have MS-1, the Russian tier 1 tank, is also a light tank. So I'm not gonna buy any crew, so I click without crew. And this is basically, these are the 3 choices you will have getting the crew, the 3 levels. If you get rapid course training, it's gonna be crew is gonna be on 50%. If you're gonna pay silver, it's gonna be on 75%, and if you're gonna pay gold, it's gonna be on 100%. The price is 60, is because T-26 has 3 crew members, 20,000 silver each, some 60,000. Same here, 200 gold per crew. Gives you 600 gold. Okay, so we're getting this tank. Cool. Let's see what it has. There is our tank. We get information that we have no crew. Okay. We can recruit. It's the same, exactly same function. We can recruit a new crew member, or, as I said, we can use those. Before that, we can choose a skill for it. The commander, the first skill should be Sixth Sense, always, regardless the tank, regardless the nation, regardless the type of the tank. Sixth Sense gives you the ability to tell you that you have been spotted, even if you don't see any enemy. So you, for example, you go over a hill and you don't see anything down on the other side, but after a while a light bulb shows on the screen, and that means you have been spotted. This is a perk, so this will be active after your training reaches 100%. But this is a commander skill, and major qualification of Sergeant Ilya Kovalchuk is a commander. So this is gonna be trained over till it gets to 100%. As I said, the only problem with this is that this activates 3 seconds after you have been spotted. Okay, so we have this one. We've chosen a skill. Or perk in this case, and we're gonna do the same for our next guy. Skills. This guy is a gun. He's a driver, so for him, we can choose this one. Smooth ride. It improves accuracy when firing on the move. Always nice to have. Select. Good. This is a skill, so you see that it's active right now, and it will improve with the training until it gets to 100%, and will be fully operational, so to say. Okay, so we have those two guys. We can send them to barracks. 1 second. Now we see if we go to USSR, we see that these are the two guys we have in the barracks. But we don't have this one. Okay, so now we have Ilya Kovalchuk. Here you have information about the training of a crew member. So we've chosen a commander, and this guy is commander, so this is a match. T-26 is a light tank. MS-1 is also a light tank, so there's also a match. And this guy was trained for MS-1. This is a T-26, so we don't have a match, and that's why this is in the red. It is very important to use the same crew members for the same vehicle types. So transferring from a light tank to another light tank will be more beneficial than transferring from a light tank to a heavy tank or a medium tank or any other vehicle. So as you see, now the modifiers is 75%. If you look at the description, you have the minus 25% because the unsuitable specialization, and that's because the wrong tank type. Had we have different training, that this guy was be trained for medium tank, this modifier would be even larger, so you would have like minus 50%. So basically you would end up with final values 50%. Yeah, so we're gonna have 100 minus 50. This is when you retrain for a new tank. It is always good to match the vehicle type, so the modifier will be as low as possible, and the crew after training will be retraining will be as high as possible. So this what we did not talk about is this window here. This is the personal file. Here you have all the information about your crew members, and here you also do the training, retraining. You choose the skills, perks, and you get some other information. Here you're gonna have some awards that the crew member wins in battle, medals, information about battles, information about the experience needed to increase the skill. This 95 means it needs 95 experience to raise from 18 to 19%. It's not from 18 to 100%. And how many battles are left to do that? The next picture is the training. That's what we're gonna use. So this is this crew member is trained for MS1. We can simply choose current vehicle, and we have similar choice as we had when we tried to recruit a new tank member. You can choose either pay gold, and then it's gonna keep 100% of the experience it has earned in earlier battles, so it's gonna be 100%. 90% of the experience will be kept for 20,000 silver, and 80% is gonna be kept if you, well, it's for free. I'm a very cheap bastard, so we have 3 crew members and we have only 40,000 credits. So let's go with silver, and let's retrain. And now we can see it was retrained to 90%. And yeah, it's always better than recruiting a new crew member, which is going to be 50% or even less, not less, but 50%, and no skills or perks. Okay, so we retrained that one. Just a quick look on the last page. Here you can pay 50 gold for changing crew member appearance or name. This is not advisable. There are much better ways of spending gold in this game as before. Okay, so we finished with that guy. Let's choose another guy. As you see, we did not have any gunner in the MS1. At least we had a gunner, but the commander was performing the gunner role. So we have to unfortunately get one guy for that task. And yeah, we're gonna recruit this guy. Training. We're gonna choose on the 20. We're gonna choose to pay 20,000 silver, because this otherwise we would have them on very low experience. Yeah, so he gets. He's on 75 now, plus 9% from the commander bonus. So he's up on the 84%. And the last guy. He's on 84, so let's retrain him on the current vehicle. Unfortunately, we have no silver, no more silver. We're poor, so we're gonna use free experience, or we're gonna use free option. So he's now on 89%. So our crew is ready, and there are just 2 more things I would like to talk about before finishing this part of the crew tutorial. One I've already mentioned a bit earlier. It's how to train your crew to 100% without actually using any gold, and it's this reset button here. The skills is basically an experience that the crew accumulates during the battles. If you have the more skills you have, the more experience you have gathered. Resetting the skills and perks will cause the experience to be put into one bank, and if the crew member is not fully is not 100% on the major qualification, it will automatically use all the experience it needs, or all the experience it has available, to put it to 100%. So if we use, if we would have more skills, this crew member will be trained to 100%, and we would have all the experience that is left for us to choose new perks or new skills. So as before, we have a similar choice. We can either use gold to keep 100 experience. We can use silver to keep 90% of the experience from the skills, or we don't have to pay anything, and then we keep just 80%. Uh, as you can see, our 80% on the smooth ride would be enough to raise major qualification by 1%. Of course, we will not do that. That's a waste of a skill at this point. It is important to remember that 90% can be, or all the way around, 10% that you lose can be a lot when you have when you have crew with 4 free skills. Therefore, if you want to do that, you can do that, but I would not do that after second skill. So if you manage to get first skill, and you, for example, you use camouflage on your crew members, and you want to change that to Sixth Sense, then you get second skill to 50%, for example, and then you retrain, and that's fine. And then you reset, and that's fine. But if you get like 3 or 4 skills in the far future, then I would recommend actually using gold. You can wait with that because there are discounts during some events or wargaming finals, league finals. So it can be that this price is going to be lower. It's going to be like 100 gold or something. But this is one of the places where it is worth actually spending gold, because you save time on the grind. So we're not gonna do that. And the second thing I would like to talk about is this accelerated crew training. I said before, when you research everything you can in a given tank, the tank gets elite status, and this icon is available here. You can see that T26 doesn't have it yet. What happens then is the crew member that has gathered least experience will get this mark here. This means that in the next battle, this our commander will get double the experience he would normally get. This will propagate through all the crew members if they have the same amount of experience, and thus the general experience of the whole crew will increase faster. That's one of the reasons why it is good to keep the elite vehicles to be able to train your crews. It is even better with the premium tags, but that's a topic I'm gonna talk about in the next episode. I've noticed that it took me much longer than I planned to talk about the basics. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna divide the crew video into 2, and in the next one we're gonna be talking about in more detail about the skills, how to equip a given tank with skills and perks, what is more beneficial than other. Yeah, so I hope you're gonna stick around, and see you on the next video.